welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, May 15th, 2017. I'm Lafern Fraser with the details. If there is more legislation and strict enforcement of the laws, SVG would be a safer place. That's according to Dr. Cecil Richards, pastor of the Kingstown Baptist Church, as he spoke on Sunday's edition of Easy Radio's Sunday Tea program as the panel discussed issues relating to crime and what solutions could be put in place. Dr. Richards says the police force needs more support from the public in order to ensure the safety of all. Pastor Richards called on new legislation and for the police to strictly enforce the laws.
The resources that are available to enforce legislation and fight crime are minimal in St. Vincent. I still feel that many of the things within the police force and basically within crime prevention or enforcement of laws, let me call it that, are very archaic, and the process is so slow. Mind you, ancient. It's like an ancient wheel rolling. So this is why we get that kind of stuff here. So I'm calling for one legislation. My 4 minutes gone. Legislation. And but what's going to happen, Brother Daniel, to your point, what's going to happen when we have more legislation and more efficient operation of the force of law enforcement? What's going to happen is that you're going to have a big hue and cry here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Well, they probably won't say police state, but they will begin to talk about infringement on their right. Where's my human right? Where's my this? Where's my that? But we will be a safer place. And sometimes, for the greater good, we're going to have to give up some of our individual freedom. I wish I had more time to talk more on this.
Also serving as a panelist on the program was Assistant Commissioner of Police Frankie Joseph, who challenged the private sector to do more to boost the force's capacity in fighting crime, which he said in turn keeps everyone safe.
In a division, you have 2 vehicles, so then those vehicles might be go down on the scene, and then that create problem for the other stations. But have you ever saw in the newspaper where any of these corporations handing over a vehicle to the police department to say, well, this is assisting you from we in terms of fighting crimes? We would love these corporations to come on board in that. Also, we have big businesses and corporations in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Have you seen, where they handed over this piece of crime fighting equipment to the police? Say, this is our part in partnership with the police to fight crime. So I am really challenging the big corporations and the big businesses to really, come in partnership with the police. Because in other countries, that is happening. So, because if crime gets out of control, it is not only going to affect the government, nor the police. It is going to affect all of us. It is going to affect the businesses. So we really want to see that cooperation with the police.
Meanwhile, Councillor Edward Smith considers the church as a moral watchdog and called on religious leaders to be more active in their communities.
This church is the moral watchdog and the ethical watchdog in the society. So I want to appeal to us to remember that the gospel is not just a gospel to preach from the pulpit. The gospel is a social gospel. When Christ announced his ministry, he announced a social gospel. Look at it again in Luke chapter 4. When he comes back in Matthew 27, I think, he tells us what he's going to say to the righteous ones. Read it again there, about feeding the hungry and lifting the burdens of the oppressed and so on. You can't stay in the pulpit. We're staying there too long. Let us get out in the community and get down to the grassroots of the people where the problems are, where the young men and young women are prone to commit these crimes. And let us make friends with them. Let me tell you this. When they understand that you are genuine, they'll respect you and they will listen to you.
Members of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of Augustus Dixon, a 52-year-old farmer of Stubbs. The incident occurred sometime after 9 p.m. on Friday night. The deceased sustained a gunshot wound to the head. Dixon is said to have been an easygoing individual and cooperated well with fellow residents. In an interview today with SVG-TV News, Commissioner of Police Reynold Hadaway said the investigation into the Dixon's killing is in its premature stages and that there are no leads at this time.
Where, according to reports, Augustus Dixon succumbed to gunshot injuries. I cannot give you much on the incident itself, but I will want to speak to the issue that is somewhat out there in the public domain, where a police officer, according to a police officer, is implicated. The matter is in its early days of investigation, and whether or not he is implicated is an issue for the investigation to really make a determination. It is really, really too early for us to speak to the issues and to really give you something conclusive. The investigator is still out there in the field, toiling, one will say, trying to garner whatever intelligence they can get to see where it will lead us.
Commissioner Hadaway proceeded to clarify speculations of the involvement of police officer Aaron Smart, also of Stubbs, in the killing of Dixon.
Commissioner Hadaway, you were in you're about to tell me, well, clarify rumors, and there are rumors that this murder may have some sort of involvement with police officer Aaron Smart, also of Stubbs. Is there any truth to this? Is he a suspect in this homicide?
PC, I would answer you this way. PC Smart was taken up at when the police responded, and I would want to conclude that they would have done so based on certain information that they would have received from persons from the public. We have conducted our preliminary, well, at least we would have done our work as far as we can thus far with him, and again, we're still looking into the matter.
Is he on probation
Yes.
at this point?
No disciplinary action has been taken against him or any sort. Well, let's face the reality. If he is implicated and is involved, he will face a serious offense, and then the mechanism of the organization will be put into motion so that he will go before the court, etc., etc. But we cannot speak to those issues at the moment.
Assistant Commissioner of Police Frankie Joseph stressed on the challenges the police continue to face in tackling crime here in SVG.
Well, we are going to face, and we continue to face, challenges. One of the things we are facing on a daily basis is that we cannot have police officers in all the places where we would really like to have them. Because the thing is that our police force is a small force, and it's just about 900 strong, and the kind of duties and places that we would like to put police officers to patrol with that number, it is going to be a challenge to have police officers placed, in every possible place where we feel that crime would, the possibility that crime would be committed there. So that is always going to be a challenge.
An intelligent consumer is the best kind of price control. That's according to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves as he spoke on WeFM's Issues at Hand program on Sunday, addressing issues surrounding the 1% VAT increase, reports of price gouging by some businesses, and other national issues. Prime Minister Gonsalves stated that where it is perceived that a business is engaged in price gouging, a customer can shop elsewhere, and such actions can create a change in mindset. The Prime Minister, however, noted that a price increase does not necessarily indicate that the business is engaged in price gouging.
All you have to do, you go to another supermarket which doesn't gouge you, and you talk about it, and eventually that supermarket has to fall in line. That's the best kind of price control in an intelligent consumer. At the same time, I must say this: persons may have stock of a particular item which comes in after the May 1st, on May 1st, with the new VAT. But it might be more expensive than the previous one. You see the point I'm making?
True.
So if you see an increase, it doesn't necessarily mean that the business people are gouging you. It might mean that the new stock an increased price. But all those things would be, the Inland Revenue would be able to check. The Ministry of Trade would be able to check. And if consumers have a doubt, contact Inland Revenue and contact the Ministry of Trade. All right? Not just to talk about it in the newspapers or talk about it on radio, important as that is, but to actually go to the authorities, which themselves are doing work.
The Prime Minister also took the opportunity to rubbish claims which suggest that the price increase in LPG is linked to forced investment at the Argyle International Airport by Rubis.
Absolute rubbish. The LPG issue has nothing to do with Rubis at the airport. Rubis, as in, look, there was a tender for that, for the fuel farm at the airport, you know.
Of course.
There was a tender, and Rubis won the tender.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, Rubis is in this business for the long term, and they know that they will recoup their investment, whatever the investment is. And we are very happy that Rubis is here in the long term. But LPG price has absolutely nothing to do with Rubis's investment at the airport. It's just crap. What I invite journalists to do is to go down to the Ministry of Trade and ask the Director of Trade, or go and see the Director General of Finance and Planning, and have both the Director General of Finance and Planning and the Director of Trade explain how the price build-out is. And you will see each stage as to the build-out of the price, and why it moved from one price to another price. There's nothing to hide.
Speaking on the issue of hotel developments, Prime Minister Gonsalves said he is working with the Melia Group, which is in SVG, exploring avenues of investment, noting that economic partnership with the Melia Group and Cuba would have practical benefits for SVG.
And I'm working with them, and the Patriarch is interested in doing a joint venture operation with us, and also they're interested in doing so with Cuba. And I've written to Raul Castro already since the arrival, since the Mr. Escara, Gabriel Escara, who is the Patriarch of the Melia Group, who's 82 years old, on this matter. I would be very happy if Cuba, St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the Melia Group could actually build a hotel together here. But if not, we'll do it with the Melia Group alone. But you can see the advantage of making the link in any event with Cuba, because it would be a practical way for multi-destination tourism. In Cuba and ourselves cooperate on a lot of social programs. Why can't we cooperate on an economic venture too?
Part of the activities being conducted in commemoration of Vaccination Week 2017, an immunization workshop was held here today for nursing practitioners at the Fisheries Conference Room. Describing immunization as the best method of prevention ever known to man, the senior nursing officer, Sister Arlene James, noted that the workshop is aimed at providing participants with the relevant information for the carrying out of immunization functions. She also expressed gratitude to healthcare workers for their contribution to the execution of the immunization program.
The program is being executed in an environment that is ever-changing, and ever so often there are new developments in immunization, and health workers must be equipped to respond appropriately. Therefore, this workshop was planned with you in mind, and the facilitators are people that you know very well and who have experience in immunization. I trust this morning that you will participate actively in today's session, and your knowledge base will be broadened, and you will be very pleased that you have come to this workshop.
Speaking on behalf of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Manager of the Expanded Program on Immunization, or EPI, Ferosa Roach, emphasized the importance of the continued strengthening of the National Immunization Program.
Strong immunization program has the following components: policies, standards, guidelines, governance, organization and management, train human resources, vaccine, cold chain and logistic management, service delivery, communication, data generation and use, and sustainable financing. It is our responsibility as managers, leaders, and immunization champions to ensure that these components are in place and that immunization services offered in this country are of high quality.
Outlining that professional education is key in supporting the immunization process, Roach noted that healthcare workers must ensure that they are competent to practice and deliver quality immunization services.
Immunization is an area that is complex and one that is constantly changing, and you must be current. You have to be well informed about the different vaccines type, vaccine schedule, the mode of action, route of administration, the risk, the benefits, the limitations, and the diseases that the vaccines aim to prevent. You all must have accurate information so that you can respond accurately to questions about vaccines and their safety. You also must be familiar with the current status, the global, regional, and local trend and prevalence of vaccine-preventable diseases, and the current vaccination recommendation. Remember, nurses, that you play a major role when it comes to the prevention and control of vaccine-preventable diseases. Remember also that the continued success of the routine immunization program depends on us.
The act of giving back continues to be the watchwords of the SVG Helping Hands, Inc. The nonprofit organization recently donated over 30 barrels to some 20 institutions throughout the country. As we hear in this report from Sharon Garraway, SVG Helping Hands, Inc. has been providing support to the less fortunate for close to 10 years now.
Without much fanfare, the non-profit organization called SVG Helping Hands Incorporated during the last 2 weeks in April distributed 33 barrels to 23 local schools, health facilities, and foundations throughout this nation. The San Diego, California-based organization, which has been assisting this country since 2009, also disseminated 8 pallets, which included 1,170 lunch boxes for school children. Donations, which takes the form of a wish list, were made to the Stubbs Health Center, Stubbs Government School, Argyle Preschool and Primary School, Bible Methodist School, New Prospect Primary School, Greg's Primary School, St. Benedict's Children's Home, Bread of Life, Red Cross, Ladies of Charity, Lewis Punnett Home, Calder Government School, Evesham Methodist School, Maricourt Government, Guadalupe Home for Girls, Liberty Lodge Home for Boys, Milton Cater Memorial Hospital, Miranda Preschool, VinSave, and Taraji Foundation. The seemingly unassuming but impactful SVG Helping Hands Incorporated is an 8-year-old nonprofit organization established by Vincentian cousins Susan Child Ellis, Sally Regisford Charleston, Natasha Bullock Odero, who migrated to the U.S. as young teens. They have networked with people in the San Diego area and continually host fundraising events to ensure that the wish list of organizations in St. Vincent and Grenadines are fulfilled. President of SVG Helping Hands Incorporated, Susan Ellis Child, said she and her cousins, Sally and Natasha, witnessed their grandparents, Clement and Agatha Gonzalez of Bayabu, always sharing what they had with everyone. She explained that when they were growing up, there was a community of sharing with neighbors, workers, friends, and most of all, the less fortunate. She said that they are very proud to carry out the family tradition which their grandparents passed down to their parents, which continues today with SVG Helping Hands Incorporated. Child Ellis also expressed gratitude to other family members, supporters, donors, sponsors, and volunteers for taking time out to help the institutions in St. Vincent and Grenadines that in turn assist many throughout the country.
Thank you, SVG Helping Hands. Thank you.
Sharon Garraway reporting for SVG Television News.
The Clear Valley Government School earlier today launched its Literacy Week of activities. Principal Acting Desiree Wilson says they aim to achieve a 100% reading and literacy rate. The school's Literacy Week is being held in commemoration of the institution's 63rd anniversary, which will be observed on Wednesday, May 17th.
Currently boasting a literacy development rate of over 55%, acting principal of the Clear Valley Government School, Desiree Wilson, indicated that while it is an exceptional performance, they can do much better, and they are working towards a 100% rate. Wilson said that one of the objectives for their Literacy Week of activities is to instill in the young minds the importance of reading.
We have seen throughout the ages that when people read, it helps to make a change. So this year, we are heavily emphasizing reading so that children will know they do not have to remain in that socially challenged state, economically challenged state. Reading will improve their educational status and help them to move on from strength to strength.
Guided under the theme, Reading, the Tool That Creates Meaningful Change, Principal Wilson took the opportunity to emphasize on the work that is mapped out for her staff to achieve the institution's long-term literacy goals.
The aim at Clear Valley Primary School come 2018 and 19 and 20 is to have 100% pass at the CPEA exam. How else can we do that if all of our children are not reading? That is the emphasis of starting this team this year. It's not a short challenge, it's a long-term challenge, and we are hoping to have all our children passing after 2018 for the next 5 years. We have to start now.
Shedding light on some of the challenges faced at the school, Wilson noted that they are not at all deterred by such factors.
Sometimes you have children coming into our class, they haven't got their textbooks. And if children don't have their books, well, therefore they can't do their homework. And sometimes we are not always kind to each other. Long ago we used to be more neighborly. We cannot borrow our neighbor textbooks or things like that. But generally, we are working towards alleviating all of that. When the children get to school, we have put in place a literacy program for those children so that when they get into school on mornings, they can start picking up whatever area they have lapsed.
Speaking also on the importance of reading, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Deborah Charles, appealed to parents to play their role, as according to her, it all begins at home.
Parents, you have a responsibility. The teachers have their responsibility, and that is to mold the children between 8:30, 3:30, but it's your responsibility, parents, to take your children in hand when they get home and say to them, let's read. You can read with them or have them read aloud to you. And when you finish reading, question them about what they would have read, so that they would give you the answers to what they would have read, and you'd understand that they have understood what they have been reading.
P.S. Charles stated that with the implementation of a structured regime, she has no doubt that the school will achieve its set goals.
And I'm confident that if our children begin by reading a book per week, that the change is going to come, and it will come quickly.
Here are some of the activities that the Clear Valley Government School will be hosting for its Literacy Week, as outlined by Principal Wilson.
Well, we have already started this morning with the opening ceremony. This afternoon, we are actually going to have what we call a spelling bee competition, and it is sponsored by We FM radio station. Tomorrow morning, we would actually have the Hats Off to Reading program in the schools. Tomorrow afternoon, we were going to have a reading competition itself, and these programs are mainly geared at grade 5 students. On Wednesday, all day we'd have our career fair. On Thursday morning, you would realize it is the day before the CPA exam. We're going to have a small church service with the grade 6 children and the rest of the school, and we are going to send off the grade 6 early so they can be prepared themselves for the exams.
Nolisha Miller, The Evening News.
Staying true to their motto, honoring those who inspire, Vincentian pioneers will soon gain recognition through the Gift Awards. The event, which is run under the Copyrights Reserve of the Canadian-based Empowered Living Conference, aims to portray the beauty, creative love, and expression of one's thoughts and serves as a platform to bring persons together, making them all one. At a media conference held last Friday, coordinator of the Gifts Awards, Montgomery Samuels, noted that the upcoming event is the first of its kind in SVG, with a similar event held in Canada last August. He said the idea came about as an inspiration to give back to persons who inspire others without looking for a profit.
Within the aspect of pharmaceuticals, in banking, in hotel industry, teaching, education, and the level. I believe people must be in a place of celebration instead of toleration. We must celebrate our own instead of being just tolerated. And in that case, when people know you celebrate their legacy, celebrate their lifestyle, celebrate where they came from and where they're going, and the product they produce, then you understand that it has worth it. It has been worth it. It's history within the generation gaps. And so this event is actually putting a platform or making a way where we as a people could honor those who've been before us, who set apart in making our life quote unquote easier. Our living has been there supporting all the documents, the official invitation letters, everything has come from Empower Living. That's out of Canada as well. So basically, it's not just a one-man show where there is no accountability.
The event, which is slated for June 10th at the Peace Memorial Hall from 7 p.m., according to Samuel, will be a night of celebration, appreciation, and professionalism.
Also, we're going to be honoring in this event of gift events. And there's 4 different awards, 4 different categories in honoring. There's the Legacy Awards, there's the Masters Awards, the Generation Awards, and the Impact Awards, actually. Those are the awards in which persons are going to be honored. It's going to be held on the 10th of June at the Peace Memorial Hall. It's actually a red carpet event. And the reason why we want to go at that magnitude, because I believe personally that appreciation must be at the highest level. And when they're giving someone something, they must be appreciative of that impact, that loss from the next generation. So when you look at gifts, the ceremony, there must be a lasting event that people could look and say, yeah, that was well done.
In Carnival Beat tonight, preparations for the Miss SVG 2017 pageant are well underway as all 7 contestants are heavily involved in the ECGC-sponsored Women and Girls Empowerment Campaign. Miss Quick Cash, Brianna Hadaway, will be advocating on the equality that feminism brings. Hadaway, who is continuing a family tradition of pageantry involvement, tells SVG-TV's Nolisha Miller that she is fully embracing her Indian heritage.
What sets you apart from the other 6 girls?
I am Indian. I'm claiming my Indian heritage this year. I think this is the first year anybody of Indian heritage has represented their culture on a national stage, so I think that alone makes me different from the other girls.
No stranger to pageantry, Brianna Hadaway, Miss Quick Cash, is following the footsteps of her grandmother and aunt, who both participated in the Miss SVG pageant years ago. Spunky and vibrant in her own way, confident Hadaway has chosen to embrace her Indian heritage and even hinted that some of that might be portrayed in her performance come Saturday, June 3rd.
You're going to see Indian inspiration in my dress. You might see a little Indian in my talent, and you'll see Indian throughout everything.
Okay. This year is celebrating 40 years. How is that significant to you in your own way?
Well, considering I have been around for 20 of the 40 years, I've been playing mass all my life. Carnival is my favorite time of the year. I'm born a week actually after Carnival, so I like to consider myself a Carnival baby.
This year, all 7 young ladies are not just contestants. In fact, they are now advocates who have been offered the platform to highlight social ills affecting the Vincentian community through the ECGC's Women Empowerment Campaign. Advocating for the equality of feminism, Hadaway indicated her passion and a determination to continue with her campaign, Crown or No Crown.
Well, change starts with yourself. I feel that my topic of feminism is almost taboo in our society. We like to alienate one gender over the other. We have a lot of things we need to work towards in order of closing the gap. A feminist is a person who believes in the social, political and economic equality of both sexes. So I'm hoping to work in my country through guiding through this platform, if I win the crown, to unify everybody and to bring some changes and to narrow the gap in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The contestant number 1 expressed her gratitude for the support from the Vincentian public thus far.
I think this year they have responded very well to our empowerment campaign. It gives it a sense of beauty with a purpose. So we're not just pretty faces, we are all educated young ladies. We have a passion, which is our platform. And I feel that the Vincentian public has received that in a very positive and pleasant manner.
When asked about her relationship with the other contestants, Giddy Hadaway said the bond which was created over the last few months is one that she hopes will be maintained even after the pageant.
Surprisingly, I thought we weren't going to get along. At first I thought we were going to be a little catty, but we really are close. 2 of them I'm really close with. We call ourselves the 3 Musketeers, so everybody's very supportive. But on the night of the show we know it's a competition, but we're going to be sisters for life.
And what to expect from Brianna on the night of the pageant?
On the night of June 3rd, you can expect something fun, something Indian, something about feminism, and just, 40 years of excellence.
Nolisha Miller for Carnival Beats.